What's going on, guys? It's blowing about 35 outside, definitely not a fishing day, so I wanted to hop on here. This is a video I've been wanting to do for a little while, but I wanted to talk with y'all about the bait that's responsible for honestly every single citation that I caught this year, except for one that was on the top water. Every other fish ate this bait, and it's a bait I've talked a lot about, but the size is a little different, and the way I'm fishing it is just a little bit different, similar to other videos that I've done, but I just wanted to share with y'all the tactic that has been so important for me this year as far as catching larger fish goes. And that bait is the 5-inch DIEZEL Minnow by ZMAN. They've got a 4-inch, they've got a 5-inch, and they've got a 7-inch. And you know, typically a larger bait can kind of scare me a little bit and to scare a lot of people. You're nervous about throwing it, you're afraid you're not going to get the bites. But this year I've really powered through the fear of, like, you know, neglecting a few bites and knowing that I'm going to not have quite as many bites and looking for some bigger bites. And this has been the bait I've been doing that with, this 5-inch DIEZEL Minnow. I rig it on an eye strike redfish eye jig head with a longer shank. The weight varies depending upon the sink rate that I want. If I want to fish really shallow water slow, obviously I'm gonna fish a lighter jig head, and the deeper the water I'm gonna fish, the heavier the jig head I'm gonna throw on there. Again, that varies a little bit depending upon your retrieve, but playing around with that weight, not sticking to just one weight, is key, and paying attention to your current and your depth and the speed of the retrieve, and playing around with the speed of the retrieve is very important. So the main reason I like the ZMAN paddle tails over any other paddle tails is because the Elastec material that they're made out of floats. That's so important because when you work a bait really, really slow, if it's not a floating bait, that jig head's gonna lay it over on the side when it's on the bottom. Not that fish won't eat it like that, but I feel like the smarter fish, the bigger fish, the pickier fish are gonna have you're gonna have a better chance of getting them to eat when you have a much more natural looking bait on the bottom. So what happens is when you're slowly retrieving this bait, that tail, the part that's behind the hook, the bend of the hook and the hook shank, will float up a little bit, and it'll right the position of that swim bait, of that paddle tail, so that it's literally belly dragging across the bottom with its tail sticking up kicking. If you haven't seen the way a ZMAN paddle tail swims in the water, I urge you to go to your neighborhood pool, go to your buddy's pool, whatever it takes to get into some clear water and cast it and work on those different retrieves and really understand what your bait's doing when you're fishing. I think it makes you so much more effective to know exactly what that bait's doing depending upon your retrieve. I'm gonna go over the colors here that I have had success on this year. There's a handful of colors that this bait comes in, but each one of these baits I've caught a citation on this season. So the first color that I really like is the pinfish color. I'm gonna take one out of the pack here. It's a real great color, super natural color, but it's got this blue flake in it, which I think is pretty nice. It's got that kind of olivey green back and that lighter whitish color, more of a tan color belly. Just a really good all-around natural color. It fishes well in really clear water. Looks really good in the murkier water as well. The next color, this is the first citation I caught this year, came on this color right here. This is the 5-inch Mullotron DIEZEL Minnow. You got that black back in the belly, is that clearish white color. Just a really good bait that's gonna stand out. This one stands out really well in dirty water, but I've caught fish on this in clean water too. And don't think just because you're fishing a 5-inch swim bait that you're not gonna get 12-inch trout to eat it. I've had 12-inch, 10-inch trout eat this 5-inch swim bait, but I would say the 4-inch swim bait gets eaten a little bit more than the 5-inch swim bait, but the 5-inch swim bait typically has larger fish eat it. This is the next color I really like. This is one I bought because I thought it looked really cool, and I've really fallen in love with it, and the color just looks incredible in the water. But it's called Hot Snakes, and it is a green back with kind of a yellowy chartreuse belly, and it's got these, I guess they're black, and then there's kind of some purplish blue flakes in there. This is another bait that looks really great and natural in the water, but with that chartreuse, it gives it a little bit more pop. It's a great looking bait in both clear and dirty water conditions. And you can't go wrong with the white. The white 5-inch DIEZEL Minnow is another great bait. I tend to find that if the fish are pickier, the white bait is a harder one for me to get bit on. I think it's just, you know, they're gonna see it in dirty or clear water, but it's not quite as natural looking. It doesn't have any breakup, you know, to change it's just a big old solid slab of white coming through the water, and they will eat the mess out of it, but on those pickier days, when those fish are a little more hesitant to eat, the white is not the first color I go to. I would say the Mullotron, excuse me, not the Mullotron, the pinfish is my color of choice in those water conditions. But like I said, you can fish this a lot of different ways, but the way I've had the most success is slow rolling it on the bottom. I've done a whole video about slow rolling, and this DIEZEL Minnow 5-inch just does it so well. The nice thing about the 5-inch is it's got a bigger tail on it, so when you slow roll it, you get a really nice wide kick. It's moving a lot of water, and it looks super natural. That tail's gonna kind of elevate above the bait a little bit like this, as that jig head's holding the belly on the bottom, and that tail's gonna kick back and forth. Great way to catch bigger trout. Don't let this winter pass without going and fishing some of these bigger baits. Wait until the warming days. So if we've got some cold weather coming up, once that cold weather flips and we get 2 or 3 warm days in a row, if you know where there's some trout, go out, throw this bait around there, and see if you can't catch a big one. Hope this helps out, and I will see y'all in the next one. Like always, if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, click the thumbs up button. If you have any comments, leave them here on YouTube. You can also send me a comment on Instagram or Facebook, and I will see you in the next video. Later.